Okay, thank you so much. I would like first that we applaud all the presenters. So before we start, now I would say that the floor is yours.
Speaking the microphone. So some conclusion from this today, probably very partial because it's difficult to keep online in direct. Working at the end of the meeting. So some learnings. Is there any need for inspired data? The question may be provocative, but from the answer, from the discussion, it was not really. Users, they don't care so much about inspired data, but nevertheless, we have cross-border, we have pan-European users, and they would like data easy to access, standardized, and it's more or less inspired-like data. There is need, for instance, for reproducible results across Europe, but also reproducible results across time, sustainability, and this can be ensured only by standardized data. Of course, it doesn't need to be purely inspired. It may be also kind of harmonized, standardized data, such as pan-European products, such as CTGML, core reference dataset. But I will say maybe, unfortunately, for us data provider also OpenStreetMap, we have competitors. So, one question was, what are the drivers? What are the there are some, sorry. What are the potential users? We have talked about key players, official global or European key players, such as the United Nations, the World Bank, the European Commission, the key players that provide credibility. Of course, they are just potential users, but if they have used pan-European products, they might be also interested by inspired data. There are private companies of different kinds. Some, for instance, some big companies in transport, Navtec using Eurobondage map, and now here very interested in inspired transport. IT companies, some startups such as Insun We Trust in Alger, France. Some national public bodies. We have heard, for instance, about NMCA themselves, for instance, for cross-border cartography, transport and utility managers, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, State Forest Administration, from the health event in Poland. There were some examples of stakeholders having interest for Inspire. So if they have interest in Poland, maybe they have interest also in other countries. So maybe we should have contact with them. There are also cross-border organization or initiatives. We have several examples from Switzerland about the Geneva area, the Bodensee area, some kind of organization needing harmonized geographic data for daily life, just having a cross-border database. Also the Grand Région, part of Belgium, Luxembourg, France, and Germany. And also the research, the universities, the academic sector may be also interested by inspired data. Use cases, various topics. We have seen, of course, environmental topics, what was the initial aim of Inspire, for instance, urban climate, solar potential of roofs, impact of wind turbines, construction of buildings, car navigation, it's not environmental, but a little bit. During the Inspire conference, there was even a game, this EcoCraft game. We have, for instance, Gazetteer service in the health project, the geolocator. The context also are different. For instance, it may be used in European projects such as Hermes, as we have seen, but maybe more role in software methodology development. Common data, it's also common methodologies, reproducible results. Regarding other use case, cross-border use case, we have seen cartography, but also accessibility assessment, the CAP subsidies for cross-border farmers, planning, both on land, for instance, in the Alpine Convention that was mentioned, I think, by Abigail, but also on sea, as you mentioned, Lena. So there are some use cases, and of course, this workshop is far from exhaustive. We are 40 persons, or maybe a little more. It's far from being the whole Inspire community. The benefits of interoperability, they are not limited to use of Inspire data. There is also the use of Inspire data models that are a good basis for national or cross-border standards. We have heard as Inspire some kind of magic word to get consensus between various stakeholders. Instead of adopting the model of one stakeholder, you adopt a model that is common to Europe, and it makes negotiation quite easier. We have the excellent example of Inspire GML used as exchange format for cadastral parcel and building in land administration in Spain. We had also, during the Inspire conference, the mention of ontologies. And something else that was mentioned during this workshop is that the rule on interoperability, it pushed some data providers to go to more vector data. We had the example with Click about utilities data, but I have heard the same thing about land use, planned land use, that vector data is getting more and more available thanks to Inspire. And not just about discovery and service, but the fact that there are data models, it pushes people to go to vector data. So it was the first day about who are the users, who are the use cases, the barriers. First, the discovery. Are potential users aware of Inspire data? Probably not enough. For instance, we had the example in the research about urban climate. They were not even knowing that Inspire data was existing. I don't know if they are really willing to use it, but first barrier is that they don't know Inspire data. And on the other hand, we don't really know who are the potential users of Inspire. And maybe sometimes I don't know if we have the right marketing and view to search for these users. Maybe we are a little lazy to find, or with lack of imagination, of innovation, to find who might be the potential users of Inspire data. And we have, as it was shown, as I say, during yesterday's discussion session, we don't make a wide awareness raising by data producers. Of course, it depends, it's not the same for all of us, but I will say in general, Inspire data is not so proudly advertised by NMCAs and other data providers. Probably it's something we might do better. It's my guess. Then we have the, I will say the other, the download of Inspire data. Once again, it's not so easy. Users are requesting data sets such as the core response data set rather than services. We have heard a lot of critics regarding this distributed architecture, and now there is some will to go back to some more centralization. Web feature service, not so efficient, and Atom Field might be better. There are some nice tools regarding coverage data, but it's not so sure they can work smoothly with Inspire data models, and are users really able to use this tool? So there is also place for improvement. And in my opinion, something that was a little some discover, because we were confident in web feature services, and it's something that has a little bit surprised us, because we built, for instance, Elf on web feature service, and then we discover the limits of download with the web feature services. Something that was more expected, is it possible to use Inspire data once you have succeeded to find it and maybe download it? Of course, we know there are difficulties. The Inspire data models are considered as complex. Not all client applications are able to consume Inspire data. But I will say there has been some success. For instance, during the health event in Poland, you succeeded, not you, but the attendees succeeded to make some exercise with Inspire data. So there are some success. The Czech services are Inspire services. They are poorly used, maybe it's only 1%, but it's not 0%. There are some users of these Inspire services. We have seen also the example in Spain about many tools developed about this GML for cadastral parcel. And we have seen also the exercise from EA to integrate Inspire data and saying, yes, Inspire data has value, it helps us, we understand the structure, we understand the naming of attributes and feature types. It's valuable for us. So even if it's limited success, there is some beginning of success. Maybe some specific difficulties. SIM transport network was mentioned several times. On one hand, it's positive because there are interested users, users willing to use Inspire transport data, such as the car navigation companies. But generally, linear referencing is considered as too complex for basic applications, such as mapping. And we have heard, I will say both, many interest, but many complaints about the transport SIM. Something else, maybe it's about Annex 3, not all Annex 3, because some SIM are already implemented, such as buildings, but I think there has been some doubt about implementation of Inspire 3, as we have seen in this morning presentation, and sometimes in my own feeling. And of course, if they are not implemented, they won't be used. So how to remove barriers? It was more or less included in the agenda of the meeting. It's about simplification of Inspire data, adding, for instance, flat schemas, maybe also flat and simplified schema, alternative encodings. And on the other hand, there is also will to enrich data, for instance, with more content as core data, better harmonization, but also maybe include data from other providers, better tools. We have seen about the client applications. We need also better tools to consume Inspire data, and maybe not just simplify it. Typically, for instance, in IGN, we have considered that the geographical name is something complex, but we try to include it in our production database because it's also a requirement for users, the fact that there may be several names and with some name sub-attributes required. So sometimes complexity is also required, and we should not always simplify, but trying also to have better tools. Of course, open data was mentioned several times, but it was also reminded that it's not mandated by Inspire. It will solve the licensing access issues, and we have this proposal of OpenFBI also to remove some barriers. And I will say there are several initiatives, such as several things are already launched by the MIG, by Eurogeographic, by UNGTIM, and maybe by others that I have forgotten. So, I just would like to thank you for coming and for your very active contribution to the workshop and to the workshop success. That's okay. Oh, Henrik?
Can I just say one thing here? Because I mean, maybe you mentioned it in one of the slides, but the first one, I mean, do we need Inspire? I would just like to say, I mean, it's very, very clear from this very basic test study we made that when we get Inspire compliant data, it's much, much easier for us to work with the data. So there's no need, in my view, yes, we need Inspire because it makes our life easier if we want to work at European level. No question about that.
Thank you. Other comments from this last slide from Dominique?
Actually, as a comment to the comment, is that this feedback should go to all of the data providers, because they're still wondering what are they doing this for, and there are many more who are not in this room and did not hear your wonderful statement. So send a Christmas card to them all.
Okay, thank you. So that's the real close of this meeting. Thank you for your participation, very active participation.